doing? Good morning. We are going to be continuing doing our Book of Thoth tarot card readings, going through the book slowly day by day. I'm going to read a little bit from it until we finish the whole thing. And then at the end, we will do an all signs reading after I do the reading from the Book of Thoth. I have this oracle deck in my hand. We're going to pull one card just to see what it says at first. You deserve so much more than I was able to offer you, is the message. So that could be an underlying theme today. The people in your life feeling or wishing that they could give more to you than they were able to offer. So we're going to continue reading. Yesterday we read a little bit about the origin of the tarot and the Golden Dawn and McGregor Mathers and A.Crowley and why they decided to create the deck and what happened when they were creating the deck. We went a little bit into gematria, which is the art of adding numbers to words. We learned a little bit about some techniques and different ways that they code words. I can't remember the exact word that they called it. Right here, what was the word they used? I think it was Yetziratic attributations. I believe that's what they called it. Yeah, we went into that a little bit. We also went into Elvis Levi, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, McGregor Mathers. We went into the Hebrew letter of Tzidi and the star card, and needing to find the correct order of that. We went over the universal hexagram in the planetary days of the week, and then we are continuing on with the second part of the first chapter, which is Tarot and the Holy Kabbalah, and we'll probably read the Naples Agreement today. I think that's probably all I'll have time to read today because I have to go to work in a little bit. So we'll only have time to read a couple of pages, but and then as well, we'll do the tarot card reading at the end. So you're definitely going to want to check that out. Obviously, if you're not here to learn about the tarot or to get a deeper perspective of the tarot, if you're not like a studying practitioner of the tarot, the reading probably won't really fit or apply to your life. You can still watch it, but just like this is, it'll be a special reading for people that are actually practitioners, or people that are really interested in the tarot or that are showing some sort of interest in it, obviously. So we are going to flip this over here, and we're going to look at the book together. So also keep in mind, I do only have a GED, and so I'm not the best at pronouncing the words, but if you feel the need to correct me in the comments, I don't mind that. If I pronounce something wrong, or if you know something extra that you'd like to add on, feel free to do that. I would be greatly appreciated. So we're starting here, page 12. It says, the next issue is the Holy Kabbalah. It is a very simple subject and presents no difficulties to the ordinary intelligent mind. There are 10 numbers in the decimal system. There is a genuine reason why there should be 10 numbers and only 10. In a numerical system, which is not merely mathematical but philosophical, it is necessary at this point to introduce the Naples Agreement. But first of all, we must understand the pictorial representation of the universe given by the Holy Kabbalah, and it says to see diagram. Hey, babe. Zoo. My dog might start snoring. I'm really sorry if she does. The picture represents the tree of life, which is a map of the universe. One must begin as a mathematician would with the idea of zero, absolute zero, which turns into an examination to mean any quality that one may choose, but as the layman may first suppose nothing in the absence of anything, vulgar sense of the word. See Beresith, Paris, 1902. The Naples Agreement. The Kabbalists expanded on this idea of nothing and got a second kind of nothing, which they called Ein Sof, without limit. This idea seems unlike that of space. They then decided that in order to interpret this mere absence of any means of definition, it was necessary to postulate the Ein Sof, or limitless light. By this, they seem to have meant very much what is late Victorian men of science meant, or thought that they meant, by the luminous ether, the space-time continuum? Question mark. All this is evidently without form and void. These are abstract conditions, not positive ideas. The next step must be the idea of position. One must formulate this thesis. If there is anything except nothing, it must exist within boundless light. Within this space, nothing is inconceivable nothingness, which cannot exist as nothingness, but has to be conceived as a nothingness composed of the annihilation of two imaginary opposites. Thus appears the point, which has neither parts nor magnitude, but only position. But position does not mean anything at all unless there is something else, some other position with which it can be compared. One has to describe it. The only way to do this is to have another point, and that means one must invent the number 2, making possible the line. But this does not not really mean very much, because there is no measure of length. The limit of knowledge at this stage is that there are two things in order to be able to talk about them at all, but one cannot say that they are near each other or that they are far apart. One can only say that they are distant. In order to discriminate between them at all, there must be a third thing. We must have another point. One must invent the surface. One must invent the triangle. In doing this, incidentally appears the whole plane of geometry. One can now say A is nearer to B than A is to C. But so far, there is no substance in any of these ideas. In fact, there is no ideas at all, except the idea of distance and perhaps the idea of betweenness, an angular measurement, so that the plane of geometry now exists in theory, is after all complete, inchoate, and incoherent. There is no approach at all to the conception of a really existing thing. No more has been done than to make the definitions all purely ideal and imaginary world. Now then comes the abyss. One cannot go further into the ideal. The next step must be the actual, at least an approach to the actual. There are 3 points, but there is no idea of where any one of them is. The 4th point is essential, and this formulates the idea of matter. The point, the line, the plane. The 4th point, unless it should happen to lie in the plane, lives the solid. If one wants to know the position of any point, he must define it by the use of 3 coordinate axes. It is so many feet from the north wall, and so many feet from the east wall, and so many feet from the floor. Thus there has been developed from nothingness a something which can be said to exist. One has arrived at the idea of matter. but this existence exceedingly tenuous, for only property of any given point is its position in relation to certain other points. No change is possible. Nothing can happen. One is therefore compelled in analysis of known reality. A postulate fifth positive idea, which is that of motion. I feel like he's trying to like describe dimensions, or he's trying to like explain like the idea of I feel like he's like inside of a triangle, or he's trying to explain like a triangle of art. That's what it's giving me. My nose is itching really bad. Do you guys not care about this? I can read this on my own time. All right, let's just do the tarot reading. We have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. We're going to start with Pisces as normal, per usual. Pisces in the first house, because I have Pisces on my ascendant, so I'm always going to start with Pisces. Unless I'm doing a personal reading for you and you have a different zodiac sign, then I will start from your zodiac sign. But for me, I have Pisces on my ascendant. Therefore, I will start with Pisces in the first house always. So, Pisces, you have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Be really cautious about making any choices today. There could be feelings of stagnation, feelings of not moving, or a lack of wanting to move. There could also be feelings of wanting to expand, but not necessarily being given the opportunity to expand right now. Sorry, I need to put the plate thing back on that. But we'll read it from the book when we get them all out. The second house, or Aries. So we have Aries in the second house, which is the house of core values, the way you were raised. There could have also been something about like your birth that wasn't necessarily planned, right? It's like when you plan to have a child with someone, and you make the plan before you get pregnant, it can be a lot more of a satisfactory experience, as opposed to when you when you get pregnant and you weren't planning it. Sometimes it can be like a oh shit, I can't believe this is happening, like kind of like a scary thing. So that could definitely be something that is coming out, or something that's being highlighted today. Do keep in mind that the first house is always going to be just a way to get to the sun, right? So if the first house is the birth, is the entrance into the world, the second house is going to be the way you were raised, your core values, the things that you eat, also your personal finance, the way you were taught to handle your money. So, and this is going to be ruled by the sign of Aries. So you're usually pretty decisive when it comes to your personal finance. Very, you kind of go for things head on. You're not so much one of a staller. You just kind of go for things. You're more about action than inaction. So this Wheel of Fortune in reverse coming out for your first house could already be showing a difficulty just in regards to the energies that are already present without even pulling a card. Seeing as your second house of finances is very decisive, very action oriented, very head first action. But let's take a look and see. Your second house, we have the Eight of Pentacles, which is Sun in Virgo, which is not a bad placement. Can be prudent. It can talk about perfecting something, becoming a master of your craft. Talks about prudence, so there can be an act of not wanting to move forward until you have perfected something of some sort. Let's move on to the third house. The third house is going to be your siblings. It's going to be the people that you project onto a little bit. The people that mirror back to you how you really are. The people, your ability to judge people. your ability to decide the kind of people that you want in your life. It can also kind of be your adolescent ages if we're looking at it in regards to a birth chart. But this is just the third house. So third house, we have the Hierophant, Taurus energy, which is technically a Taurus ruled card, or Taurus ruled house. So your mirror Pisces is that of Taurus. The people that you usually surround yourself with is Taurus. And we have the major arcana card for Taurus coming out, which is extremely significant as well. Which would mean that you more than likely have some pretty powerful people around you, people that are very grounded, people that kind of give you some sort of sense of stability. They kind of help you in ways that you might not be feeling super stable, but to kind of stabilize you. Because the Hierophant is like the nails of a foundation. So it is like the glue that holds things together. Which could be seen why they're seen as the people that are really stabilizing. So your third house, your siblings, and the people in your environment going on short travels, walking sometimes, could be extremely beneficial for you in regards to maintaining this level that you're currently at. Your finances are looking good, but there's still a desire for more. There's still that desire to expand. Well, right now you need to work on stabilizing through your third house of your community, your siblings, and like your close friends. I'd like to put the close friends there. Okay. Your fourth house is going to be ruled by Gemini. Your fourth house is going to talk about the home in which you were raised in. Here we have the Nine of Swords with cruelty. There could be some issues with sleeping. There could also be some like mean words that were passed in the home. I'm not sure if there is some sort of Martian quality going through the home energy right now. We do have sidereally, we do have Mars currently transiting through the sign of Gemini, which can bring some harshness or some cruelty in regards to communication, harshness and cruelty in regards to the way that we're judging someone or judging things. Okay, now these could also talk about the nails in the coffin, or not in the coffin, I'm sorry, the nails in the structure that you're building, because the Hierophant rules the nails. Could mean that like this binding energy could have caused more harm than it did good. The energy that was trying to keep everything together by not keeping things free flowing and separate and just like allowing things to be as they were, but instead of trying to like hold on to something too tightly, it could have kind of like sucked the beauty or the love out of it entirely. And it could have even came across as cruel words being passed between you and another person due to a desire to hold on to something longer than it needed to be held on to. Your fifth house, this is going to be fun, right? You kind of have to become a child again in order to experience the energies of the fifth house. This is going to be ruled by Cancer. So there is this act of, there's this springing forth quality with Cancer, but then once they spring forth and they find themselves free and like out of their shell, they're like, oh, I think I liked it more inside the shell. So there can be a sense of going forward with something with great vigor and great intensity at first, but then kind of retreating back and being like, oh, I think I liked it where I was before. And for that, we have the Ten of Wands in reverse, which can talk about which I like that because it's Saturn and Sagittarius, which is opposite to that of Gemini. So there could be some sort of energy between the Gemini Mars energy and the Saturn Sagittarius energy. There's some sort of block in communication or block in aggressive feelings, block in aggressive communication. This is whether you are feeling like you're wanting to communicate with someone in regards to the home or something. There's going to be some sort of block in the expansion of that Martian energy, especially if it's being taken out on you, if you're being seen as a scapegoat or of some kind. I will be clarifying these with the book in a second. The sixth house is going to be your health, your daily routines. Four of Swords, it can be seen as like a truce or coming to terms with something, finding a solution to something, finding common ground, finding a way to work something out, while limiting any sort of frustrations or anger that could potentially be coming out or being expressed through you or anyone that you is in your close vicinity. That's being blocked. A truce is being found, and it's like a way out or a way to work together to make something happen is going to be found. Yeah. So your 7th house, this is going to be talking about your relationships, the way you relate to things, the way you relate to really anything. It's just your relation to the world. Your relation to the world. We have the Sun, and then we have Aries. I like to see that. I do feel as though right now you are definitely kind of finding yourself in relation to other people. Hi, how are you doing this morning? I feel like right now is a really good time for you to find a way to relate to or find different ways to relate to things while still remaining individualized, but hearing people out and finding places where there is some sort of resonance. Especially in regards to your health, in regards to little details. Let's move on to the 8th house. The 8th house is going to talk about sex. It's going to talk about occult matters. It's going to talk about things that are hidden. The transformation process of going from life to kind of a rebirth or death kind of energy. We have the 3 of Swords. We have a 3-3 here. Okay, we have fire and air. I do like to see that. So there's some sort of creation being made in regards to the masculine energy within you today. Very strong masculine energies today. Yesterday we saw a lot of feminine energies. Today there's a lot of masculine energy. And it's coming out pretty balanced. We do have the 8 of Pentacles in your own personal finance house, which is really, really good. With the 3rd house of your community also being that of the Hierophant, acting as a bridge, acting as like a safe place for you to cross over and maybe deal with a little bit more of these masculine kind of energies. So for your 9th house, this is going to be higher learning. This is going to be long distance travel, gurus, spiritual teachers, freedom in its biggest sense. Here we have the Ace of Cups. First water element we're seeing here. Now you could be going over some sort of spiritual passage through your community, through dealing with your community, trying to rid yourself of any sort of oppressive or cruel, or feeling like you're needing to blow off some steam in regards to any cruelty that might be cultivating within you and needing to find a place of love again. So sometimes it's like when you take time away from something, when you take a break, take a step back, whether you're truly going on a trip or whether you're going on a trip in regards to meditation or even just like getting away, doing something different, breaking the cycle. What do we have here? 10th house. Your 10th house, we have the Tower in reverse. That's career. You know, I think that this is like a crisis averted, an issue averted, and something difficult or something that would be seen as difficult, really finding a more calmer place, or not an explosion, right? Instead, we're returning to a place of love. And by returning to a place of love or returning to a place of emotion, pure emotion, calm emotion, we are able to heal any places within ourselves and in our relationships that could be struggling right now. There might even be some things beneath the scenes or beneath the surface of our relationships that could be brewing, that is needing to be replaced with this purifying energy of water and love. What's going on with the 11th house of hopes and dreams? Here's the 10 of Cups. Yeah. So, you know, that crisis averted is really going to take you back to that place of happiness. I'll show you guys the cards in a second. Your 12th house is going to be where you kind of like ground yourself. And here we have the sun in Scorpio with the Six of Cups, right? So giving some of your emotion away, offering it kind of as like a, I'll show you guys the cards so you can see them. I think that should be good, right? Maybe if I do it like this. There we go. And there's that Ace of Cups right there. Cool. Bottom of the deck, we do have the World card, so all of the fixed signs are present. The World card really acts as a portal for me. I do want to go through the Book of Thoth and actually read these cards because I've really been trying my best to study. A.Crowley, his birthday and my birthday are coming up really soon. So we are going to start with the wheel. I don't believe he uses reversals. I'm going to leave them reversed just because we pulled them that way. But I don't believe that he gives any explanations with reversals. So I'm going to read, starting with the wheel. And this is going to be for the first house. Do keep in mind, Crowley or Crowley. It's Crowley, I'm sorry. It's Crowley like Howley. Not Crowley like Foley. Or wait, is it something like that? Fowley? Crowley like Fowley? I don't know. It's something like that. Hermit. Lust. The Hanged Man. Oh, I gotta go back more. Where is it at? Yes, this book is so strange. Let's see. Oh, he just calls it Fortune. It's in between the Hermit. Okay, Fortune. Okay, so here. Do keep in mind, if I might not be sounding everything out correctly, feel free to correct me if you'd like to. So we have Fortune. This card is attributed to the planet Jupiter, the great fortune in astrology. It corresponds to the letter Kaf, or Kuf, which means the palm of the hand, in whose lines, according to another tradition, the fortune of the owner may read, it would narrow to think of Jupiter as good fortune. He represents the element of luck, the incalculable factor. This card thus represents the universe in its aspect of continual change of state. Above the firmament of the stars, these appear distorted in shape, though they are balanced, some being brilliant and some dark. From them, through the firmament, issue lightnings. They churn into a mass of blue and violet plumes. In the midst of all of this suspended a wheel of 10 spokes, according to the number of the Sephiroth in the sphere of Malkuth, indicating governance of physical affairs. Here's the card itself. Sorry, it's a little bit small. But that's the card right there that he is representing. On the wheel are three figures. The sworded sphinx. Can you guys see it good enough? I want to zoom in on it. Oh. There we go. That's the card that we are reading about right here. There we go. All right. So On the wheel, there are three figures: the sworded sphinx, the Hermibus, and Typhon. They symbolize three forms of energy which govern the movement of phenomena. The nature of these qualities require careful description. In the Hindu system are three gunas: sattvas, rajas, and tamas. The word guna is untranslatable. It is not quite an element, a quality, a form of energy, a phase, or a potential. All of these ideas enter into it. All the qualities that can be predicated of anything may be ascribed to one or more of these gunas. Tamas is darkness, inertia, sloth, ignorance, death, and the like. Rajas is energy, excitement, fire, brilliance, restlessness. Sattvas is calm, intelligent, lucidity, and balance. They correspond to three principal Hindu castes. One of the most important aphorisms of Hindu philosophy is the gunas revolve. This means that according to the doctrine of continual change, nothing can remain in any phase where one of the gunas is predominant. However dense and dull that may be, a time will come when it begins to stir. At the end and reward of the effort is a state of lucid quietude, which, however, tends ultimately to sink into the original inertia. The gunas are represented in European philosophy by the three qualities sulfur, mercury, and salt, already pictured in Atu 1, 3, and 5, and 1, 3, and 4. But this card, the attribution of somewhat different, the Sphinx is composed of four cherubs, shown in Atu 5, the bull, the lion, and the eagle and the man. These correspond furthermore to the magical virtues to know, to will, to dare, and to keep silence. This Sphinx represents the element of sulfur and is exalted temporarily upon the summit of the wheel. She is armed with a sword of the short Roman pattern, held upright between the paws of the lion. Climbing up the left hand side of the wheel is Hermanibus, who represents the alchemical Mercury. He is a composite god, but in him the simian element predominates. On the right hand side, precipitating himself downward, is Typhon, who represents the element of salt. Yet in these figures there is also a certain degree of complexity. For Typhon was a monster, there is also a certain degree of complexity for Typhon. A certain degree of complexity for Typhon was a monster of the primitive world. Did I read that wrong? I do that sometimes. Personifying the destructive power and fury of volcanoes and typhoons. In the legend, he attempted to obtain supreme authority over both gods and men. But Zeus blasted him with a thunderbolt. He is said to be the father of stormy, hot, and poisonous winds, also of the harpies. But this card, like a 216, may be interpreted as a unity of supreme attainment, and 14, a unity of supreme attainment and delight. The lightnings which destroy also beget, and the wheel may be regarded as the eye of Shiva, whose opening annihilates the universe, or as the wheel upon the car of Jagannath, whose devotees attain perfection at the moment that it crushes them. A description of this card appears in The Vision and the Voice, with certain inner meanings is given in appendix in an appendix. Okay, so what I know about the fortune card, it's Jupiter. I know that when he was talking about the gunas, that's something that we get into when I was explaining the nakshatras, and when I was reading for the zodiac for the nakshatras. This is going to strongly correlate to Punarvasu at the end of all of the air signs, and the first 3 degrees of all of the water signs is where Jupiter is prominent in the sidereal system. and you can see him. This would be representing of Purva Bhadrapada. This would be representing Punarvasu. The birth of Jupiter is Punarvasu, or Aditi, the fifth element, space, expansion. And this would be representing Vishaka, the two-faced or the double-sided shadow quality of Jupiter. And then this would be Jupiter in its highest exalted form in Purva Bhadrapada, just in the locations of the wheel that these elements are on. I do know that Aleister Crowley did have his natal moon in Purva Bhadrapada, which is the final stage of Jupiter, which is Jupiter in its highest form, which can lead to Claire Nocti does an amazing 3-hour movie on the Purva Bhadrapada nakshatra, and I would recommend everyone to watch that if you're interested in knowing more in regards to the nakshatras. She does a great job at explaining it. It's really it's a test, right? It's a test of your soul when you get to Jupiter at that point. I believe that in the invocation of this book in the dark side of Eden, he goes very much so into we don't need to get into the dark side of Eden. That's too much. But pretty much the dark side of Eden is, or Edom, is the one of Aleister Crowley's apprentices. Wrote a book about the major arcana. It is that is for very high level initiates. I wouldn't recommend reading that quite yet. Let's see, we're going to be reading for the second house. Second house is going to be your core values. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about this. Aleister Crowley, at the back of the book, he writes these little explanations. Follow thy fortune, careless where it lead thee. The axle moveth not, attain thou that. Change of fortune. This generally means good fortune because the fact of consolation implies anxiety or discontent. Let's move on to the 8 of Pentacles. That's for your first house. If you guys don't know the house system yet, look it up. You need to know that. It's super important to know your house systems. All right. The 8 of Discs. The number 8, Hode, is very helpful in this card because it represents Mercury in its most spiritual aspect. He rules both and is exalted in the sign of Virgo, which belongs to the decan that is governed by the sun. I have to put this up a little bit. Okay. It signifies intelligence, lovingly applied to material matters, especially those of the agriculturist and the artificer and the engineer. One might suggest that this card marks a turn of the tide. The 7 discs is, in one sense, fullest possible establishment of matter. Compare Atu 15, the lowest fallen and therefore the highest exalted. These last 3 cards seem to prepare for the explosion, which will renew the whole cycle. Note that Virgo is Yod, the secret seat of life, and also the virgin earth awaiting the phallic plow. The interest of this card is the interest of the common people. The rulership of the sun in Virgo suggests also birth. These discs are arranged in the form of geometric patterns of populace. These discs may be represented as flowers or fruits of a great tree. It is solid roots in fertile land. In the I Ching, Sol in Virgo is represented by the 33rd hexagram Thun, big air. It means retiring. In the commentary indicates how best to use that maneuver. This is congruous with the essence of Virgo, the secret withdrawing of energy into the fallow earth. Populous, moreover, is the moon retiring for manifestation to her conjunction with the sun. The third house, we got the Hierophant. The Hierophant is referred, this card is referred to the letter Vau, which means nail. It is an instrument. Of this instrument, 9 appear at the top of the card. They serve to fix the aureole behind the main figure of the picture. The card is referred to Taurus, therefore the throne of the Hierophant is surrounded by elephants, which are one of the nature of Taurus. He is actually seated upon a bull. Around him are 4 beasts or cherub, one in each corner of the card, for these are the guardians of every shrine. But the main reference is to the particular arcanum, which is the principal business, the essential of all magical work, the uniting of the microcosm with the macrocosm. Accordingly, aureole is diaphanous. Before the manifester of the mystery is the hexagram representing the macrocosm. In its center is a pentagram representing a dancing male child. This symbolizes the law of the new aeon of the child of Horus, which has supplanted that aeon of the dying god, which has governed the world for 2,000 years before him, is 2,000 years, period. Oh my God, I don't want to read this anymore. It's just so boring. It's not boring, it's just boring. Is it boring? It's boring. Keep going. Before him is a woman girt with sword. She represents the Scarlet Woman in the hierarchy of the new aeon. This symbolism is further carried out in the aureole, where behind the phallic headdress, the rose of 5 petals is in blossom. The symbolism of the snake and the dove refers to the verse in the Book of the Law, chapter 1, verse 57. There are love and love. There is the dove and there is the serpent. The symbol reoccurs in the trump numbered 14. The background of the whole card is dark blue of the starry night of Nuit, from whose womb all phenomena are born. Taurus is the zodiac sign represented by this child. It is itself a bull cherub. That is earth in its strongest, most balanced form. The ruler is the sign of this sign is Venus. She is represented by the woman standing before the Hierophant. Chapter 3 of the Book of the Law, verse 11 reads, "The woman be girt with sword before me." This woman represents Venus, as she is now is in the new aeon, no longer the mere vehicle of her male counterpart, but armed and militant. In this sign, the moon is exalted. Her influence is represented not only by the woman, but by 9 nails. It is impossible for the present time to explain this card thoroughly, for only the course of events can show how the new current of initiation will work out. It is the aeon of Horus, of the child. Through the face of the Hierophant appears benignant and smiling. The child himself seems glad with wanton innocence. It is hard to deny that the expression of the initiator is something mysterious, even sinister. He seems to be enjoying a very secret joke at somebody's expense. There is a distinctly sadistic aspect to this card, naturally, since it derives from the legend of Pasiphae, the prototype of all legends of bull gods. These still persist in such religions as Shaivism and multiple degradations of Christianity itself. The symbolism of the wand is peculiar. The 3 interlaced rings, which the crown, it may be taken as a representative of the 3 aeons of Isis, Osiris, and Horus, with their interlocking magical formula. The upper ring is marked with the scarlet for Horus. The 2 lower rings are green for Isis and pale yellow for Osiris, respectively. These are based upon deep indigo, the color of Saturn, the lord of time, for the rhythm of the Hierophant is such that he moves at intervals of 2,000 years. Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't read any more of this. I'm so sorry. I just cannot. It takes too much out of me. I have so much stuff I have to do today. I have too much stuff I have to do today. I can't read all this. I can't go through the Three of Swords and all that. I'm sorry. We got 3 cards. That is the most I can do in regards to reading from that book right now. I will do another little spread. I don't know. That book is just really hard to read. Sometimes I'm into it. Sometimes I'm not. But I'm going to pull one card from the Goddess of Love Oracle or Goddess of Love Tarot deck. It's a tarot deck. Just for today. Messages for the collective. Temperance. I already read that one. I'm going to post a video because I already did a reading and this was the card that came out, but it was Temperance. If you want to watch it, I'll have it posted in a second. We also have the Five of Wands. Yeah, I gotta go. I guess I'll read the Five of Wands if I can find the book. I got it right here. All right. If your nerves are tense, your anxiety is high, and you feel like you're at a standstill, try breathing into your heart center. The fives are some of the toughest cards in the deck because they embody the firepower of Mars, and it sometimes is uncontrollable aggression. In the realm of the wands, this firepower becomes extra combustible, necessitating an inner sense of peace and centeredness to understand how to navigate the situation at hand. There is a battle raging, beloved, but that doesn't mean you need to succumb to violence or petty tactics. In lust and love, communication is key. Yes, you're fighting now, but for what? When this card is reversed, a long-needed break from conflict at hand, you must see the path ahead and learn how to communicate so that you can move forward with knowledge of love in your heart. Affirmation, I claim my sexual power. I claim my vision, my voice, and authority. How can I breathe through conflict and find its wisdom is the message. Sending you guys love. I gotta go now. Goodbye.